Well, that's it, guys. At the time of recording this, I just finished recording the Holy Lornography. Chapter 32 is pretty short. Some people might wonder, like, is that really a chapter? And actually, chapter 31 is pretty long. So many people, it's 35 minutes long. It's the longest, I think. So many people will say that chapter 31 is the last chapter. But for me, chapter 32, although it is very short, I believe it's like 1 minute and a half. Um, 1 minute and a half. Yeah, I'm checking right now. 1 minute 45 seconds. That's so short. I believe it's a full-fledged chapter because there are actually a lot of things happening in it. Although it's not obvious at first, and although Lauren doesn't really talk to her because he comes back from work, from driving a lull, and he just hurries up to go to Kentucky. Just imagine how he felt. And those few, like he talks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. And what he says in the last chapter, have I told you lately that I love you? Rosa kiss. I, my precious princess, Rose, reverse Rose. Kiss, smile, I love you too, goggle face. I need to get out of my clothes. And then she says, you want me to call you? And he says, yes. And then he smile, kisses. And the fact that they talk on the phone and he's so excited to leave. He doesn't even tell her on the chat room, like, okay, I'm logging off. I'm leaving. No, 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 no. And the fact that the last line of the lornography is kiss, kiss, smile. This is the perfect ending. This is like perfect. Like it's exactly what you expect, like to end the book. So in case you're wondering, you're listening to the ending of my conclusion of it. I thought I would make a small segment to talk about a few things that struck me as I was reading it, and perhaps focus on the thing that I didn't cover before, like the spanking part really hit me. Like it was actually a hard moment, and I almost like stopped for a good while. I stopped for a couple of weeks, but I almost like thought about giving up because I don't know. I guess it disgusted me, it sickened me, and I felt like taking a break at the minimum. But I came back, and I think I came back stronger with my reading after that, after a break. So I'm going to focus on a few things that I feel are important to discuss. First point, there was Shaman brought the point that maybe the chat log was doctored, like it was modified, and he was right. And I'm going to make a video about that. I have some evidence that the chat log was modified, perhaps to hide, and I would say my best guess on why it was modified. I believe the modifications are minimal, but I believe that perhaps a few sections were removed where indeed Lauren said no, because in his lawsuit, Lauren did say that he had told the decoy no. He did say that. Maybe he's a liar, and Lauren lied quite a few times, so it wouldn't surprise me. Like he lied, he stole from Durango Mango, and he lied like the police when he says I wasn't gonna do anything, but you brought condoms that you bought especially for that, a variety pack. That's variety pack anyway. And he lies in the lornography also a few times, with Kayla, and a few times he gets close to saying no. Like he says, for example, if you want to leave me, precious, I would understand, blah blah blah. But Lauren is a pathological piece of shit, and he's a liar too. He lies a few times, and that kind of people, a child rapist, is not. He doesn't have the strongest like testimony in the world. If I was a judge and there was a Lauren Armstrong in front of me and the decoy in front of me, I knew that who I would give more credibility. I know impartial and all, but let's face it, it's all bullshit. Like courts are not impartial. It's all bullshit. Like I would say that most judges have their minds made up even before the defendant talk. It sucks, but that's how it is. Especially if you don't have a lot of money. If you have a lot of money, like the judge will be more open to you. But generally speaking, you see Lauren Armstrong coming in and you have the police officer and the decoy, he's going to be found guilty. Like the fact about being impartial, it's an ideal. It should be like that, but especially for sex crimes, maybe for thievery, the judge says, okay, maybe there is something wrong. Maybe they had the wrong guy. But when you have the chat log and they say the guy had the chat log there and the guy brought some condoms and the guy went to the house, there is very little Lauren can say to influence the judge verdict. So you might as well skip the trial. You might as well not have a trial. Even if Lauren says, no, 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 she's the one that lured me and I'm going to present evidence, it's a waste of time. And maybe they doctored it Like I thought that at first Lauren said no on the phone. So maybe on the phone he did say to Kayla that he wasn't going to come. But if you look when he brings the idea of going to her house, and at first he doesn't want to stay there. He wants to drive her back to his apartment. And he says that for the first time between the first and second phone call. In other words, he didn't speak to her on the phone between the time he started fantasizing about coming to her house and pretty much before the second phone call. So that leads us to the idea that maybe the conversation was doctored. And then I looked at the timestamp, and it doesn't seem like it was doctored, except perhaps at the end where I found a mistake. And that shocked me. If it's really copy pasted from the archive, there shouldn't be any mistake. Like computers don't make mistake, but there is. There is a mistake with the timestamp, and I'm going to make a video about that. I want to talk about the phone calls. We actually only have one phone call, and that's the second one he made, actually. There was a first where it hangs up, and Lauren started the second phone call with, "Did your phone hang up on me or something?" So that's the second one. But there are more phone calls. Like there's a third. Well, I guess we could group the first two in one because the phone cut and Lauren, I don't know, he called her back. But the second phone call happens a bit later. It happens much later, actually, because Kayla doesn't want to talk to him. And then there's another where he basically begs her to call him. And it's a phone call because there's a time gap of approximately like 30 minutes, 20 minutes in the chat. And usually when Lauren has to like not talk for a while, he says why. He says, "I'm going to make some weak coffee. I'm going to take Bud to the bathroom. I'm going to go karaoke." So when he says that, he's not calling her. My point is Lauren doesn't leave Kayla with a silence unless he has an excuse. And sometimes he doesn't give any excuse. And even more telling, he either says before, "Okay, let's call me," or he says after, "It was nice talking to you on the phone." So that's where there was a phone call. And unfortunately, those phone calls were lost. I would pay anything to have them. Literally. Literally. The next point I want to talk about, when I started voicing the Lornography, and when you start at the beginning, you might be thinking, Lorne is not such a big pervert. Like, he loved the girl. If you listen only to the Dateline show, how he says he wants to marry her. Like, he falls in love with her, but that's what you think. But when you read the Lornography, makes no mistake. Lorne is a fucking pervert. And he's a manipulative piece of shit. I still love him to death, but I cannot hide the fact that he's a manipulative piece of shit. And that's a theme that I'm going to explore more in my The Dark Side of Lorne series. For instance, he doesn't say, "What would you like to do sexually?" He says, "How long are you going to touch Mr. Penis?" And he says, for example, "You don't mind if I come in your mouth, right?" And the way he presents it, like, you don't mind if. It's not like asking permission. He's basically saying, "You don't mind if I do that. Do you? Do you?" And that's one point I want to say. For someone with Kayla who is very submissive. Kayla, the character that is being played, not the actress, but the character, the actress, I don't know. The character, she's a very submissive child. She's she does what she's told and she never wants to disappoint. She's the kind of child, there are some kids that are a bit more rebellious, and that's fine. And then there's Kayla. Kayla is very much almost at the extreme of the submissive scale. She never wants to disappoint anyone. And she says, "I hate when my parents yell at me." She says it directly, And that shows that Kayla, she always wants to please. She never wants to displease. She never wants to say no. She's not the type of child that is going to say no. So that leads credence to the theory that if Lorne and Kayla was real, and I prefer to think that Kayla was real. So if Lorne met Kayla, he would have raped the shit out of her because Kayla couldn't have stopped him. And one more point, when he meets her and he says, "So what you want to do?" "I want to kiss first." "Okay, then what? Can I have a kiss first?" "Well, let's talk first." "Okay." That's the first time Kayla really resists a little bit. Of course, that's a decoy and she's 19. But the point is, during the chat log, Kayla never says no. She says no one time. And that's when he talks about child pornography. And you can feel that the decoy, the person, is affected. I did speak about that in my nieces of the Dark Side of Lorne that I'm going to publish soon. But the only point where Kayla really says no is when he says, "Can I take a picture? Can you take a picture of yourself naked?" That's fucking gross, 13-year-old. And then he says, "I'm going to take one when I'm there." I'm going to take one of that penis in your vagina. That's fucking disgusting. Okay, that's child pornography. He wanted to produce child pornography. Like, it's not enough to rape Kayla. He has to produce child pornography. And he probably would have sent that photo to his friends. No, I don't think so. Kayla was for him, for him. But that's production of child pornography. Like, it's not enough to rape a child. He has to produce child pornography. And he does say exactly that. So the fact that Kayla, and she says, well, when you're there, that's okay. And Kayla, all through the Lornography, she doesn't say no, except for that one time when he says, take a pic of you naked. She says no, no way, But the rest of the chat log, she never really says no. When she doesn't want to do something, well, there's that big part when she said, Lauren, can I tell you something? When you ask me to do something like to my vagina, I never do it. Because all through the Lornography, and I can spoil it, it's the conclusion. All through the Lornography, Lauren said, can you kiss your finger and put it in your vagina? And she says, yes. And he says, how did you feel? It was a bit wet, blah, blah, blah. It's gross. It's gross. Lauren is a fucking pervert. But, she doesn't say, no, I won't do it. She says, yeah, I did it, and she lies, because later she lies about doing it. Of course, the decoys doesn't do it, but the Kayla herself, let's say Kayla is real, she says she does it. Like, for example, she said, did you touch yourself in bed last night? And she says, yeah, I did once, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of her Lornography, she says, no, I was lying. I didn't really do it. But, if Kayla was a bit more strong-willed, she could say, no, I'm not doing it. You're fucking weird. But she doesn't say that. She lies. She would rather lie to Lauren and say that she's touching herself and that she's sticking a finger inside her vagina. And it's fucking gross, because Lauren said, stick a finger deeper this time. And Kayla doesn't say, no, I'm not doing that. Never. Or when Lauren asks, can you call me? And Kayla is like, I cannot call you. But she doesn't say no. She says, no, my parents are on the phone. No, my father doesn't want to do that. So she gives an excuse. So Kayla is, she's very submissive and she doesn't dare to resist. Which leads me to think that if Lauren had met her and she was real, he could have done everything he wanted to her. And that's how it is, Kayla is too weak-willed to resist, She would have done everything, and it's fucking gross to talk about coming in the mouth of a 13-year-old child and asking, do you want to taste me or swallow? And it's not fun, it's pretty gross. And Lauren says, I wasn't even going to do it. Of course he was. It's fucking disgusting. Like, he's 30. If a 13-year-old boy had been chatting with Kayla and made that kind of stuff, like 13-year-old male, like let's say Derek had said that. You have a chat between Derek and Derek says, Kayla, can I come in your mouth? It would be disgusting because they're 13 and that's pretty hardcore for a 13-year-old. Like, I don't want my 13-year-old child to do that, They're too young. Maybe when they're 16, 17, 18 makes more sense. But to 13-year-old, it would be gross. But to have a 36-year-old male with a 13-year-old child, I'm telling you, Lauren is a fucking pervert. And when he says you don't mind, and Kayla is submissive, and I'm going to explore that in depth with my dark side of Lauren. When he says you don't mind, the way he talks about it, you don't mind, Kayla is gonna say, he's not gonna say yes, I mind. The normal response when I say you don't mind, do you? No, I don't mind. No. If you're not a strong person with a strong self-confidence, you will say, no, I don't mind. So Lauren uses her insecurity, like the fact that she has a weak self-esteem and she feels he's grooming her, and he's seducing her by complimenting her. When he says you're beautiful, you have pretty eyes, it's all to push his agenda, His agenda is raping her. So yeah, Lauren is a pervert. Fucking pervert. Another point when you read, in the last few chapters, Lauren said, I need a massage on my shoulders because I work construction today and I use muscles that I didn't use in a long time. The last time I used them was to scam Durango Mango, Betty OK and Eric. And I need a massage. And he ends up sitting on a massage chair, That's a big coincidence. And I had never realized that before. I want to talk about the Kayla, the actor that plays Kayla, Sherry Temple. Sherry Twist, sorry. She's an excellent decoy. She does her job very well. I did talk about it on churchofcloud.com. She acts like an insecure child that never wants to disappoint anybody perfectly. But she has a few flaws, a few mistakes. For instance, at a few points, she says, You want to break up with me. You don't want to talk to me anymore. Blah, blah, blah. That's not good because Lauren gets defensive. And I would say that Lauren almost quit on her a few times. Not, of course, he wouldn't have because he loves her to death, but he could have given up. Like, he could have made him feel defensive, like, make him feel wary of who Kayla was and whether she was real. And maybe, like, if you read Ned Buckeye, the decoy for Ned Buckeye was especially bad. If you listen to the phone call, he asked her, like, what do your parents do for a living? And the decoy on the phone is cut because, it's not the same decoy that chat with her. So she's like, they do construction. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, he says, you don't know what your parents do for a living? And the same thing happened in Texas with the guy, like, so, what do your parents do? They like computers. I don't know. Like, you don't even know what job your parents have. Like, that's fucking fucked up. And Lauren, it could have made Lauren suspicious. And you could have asked, for example, what kind of doctor is your dad? What does he look like? When did he get his medical license? I'm going to do some background research and find when he got. No, I'm going to make a few phone calls to the doctors, like the medical office in Bowling Green, and I'm going to find if there's really a Brad Moore that got his license. And, the decoy should have not used that type of, you're not coming anymore, you don't want to be my boyfriend. She shouldn't have done that because, again, Lauren could have gotten suspicious. And Lauren already was suspicious about the brace thing. She sends two pictures, and I guess they were not of the same girl. Maybe two girls that are similar. And on one picture, there's a small gap between the front feet, and the other, there is not. So Lauren was already a bit suspicious. And I guess the decoy, I'm not saying she wasn't good. She was excellent. To endure that man night after night, to have to see his penis every night, like, she deserves a medal to endure that. However, we can criticize a few of her flaws, like the pictures. And when Lauren confronts her, you can see that she's, like, lost, like she doesn't know what to do. And she actually stops responding to Lauren, probably because she called our friends at Perverted Justice and said, he noticed something. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And you can feel that the idea of having braces was not her idea because I had braces for 1 year. It's pretty rare to have braces for 1 year. It's like orthopedic treatment, like orthodontist treatment, are much longer than a year usually. To have braces for 1 year. And then Lauren asked, when did that happen? And she says, I don't know. Like, if I was a predator, I would be, like, suspicious. I believe that the decoy should have been more prepared. Like, she should have an identity better prepared. Like, that is something that she should have noticed, the gap. And Lauren actually knows at some point, he knows that something is wrong, but he's so obsessed with her that he cannot bring himself to admit it and stop communicating with Kayla. So that's maybe a few criticizers we could give of Sherry Twist chat log. Again, she did a fantastic job. If I had to review our chatting with Lauren, I would have to give her perhaps 9 on 10. Not 9.5 because, well, actually the difference is minimal. I give her an excellent grade. I would say that a few mistakes, the way she handled a few elements. I'm not saying, again, she's excellent. She plays her role perfectly, but when, the brace thing and the blue eye, brown eye thing, because the real decoy has brown eyes, the Casey Monroe, she has the brown eyes. Her insistence, like, for example, she asked eventually she asked him to bring condoms. That would raise suspicion. Like, why would a girl ask a 36-year-old male to bring condom to her house? A kid is not going to think about that. I know she was probably following orders. Like, at Perverted Justice, it's important to prove intent, And by bringing condoms, Lauren made it very, very clear he was going to rape the shit out of her. But the way it presented, it's a bit, like, awkward. It's not perfect. So that's why I would remove perhaps half a point. And the other half would have to be probably her hesitation, the fact that she says K's a lot, and that she seems lost, and she overdoes it at some point. Like, she seems a little bit too eager and too happy to see his dick. Like, do you want to nightly look at my penis? Yeah! And she seems like, I would have played a Kayla that is, like, a bit more resistant to it. Like, a bit more like, she seems so open with Lauren, so happy to see his dick. Like, that's not normal. But again, it works, so I cannot criticize her because she did get him to show up, So I guess she did perfectly. Like she had an ungodly amount of patience. She was very persistent, and to endure shows of this guy night after night, that decoy is made of gold. So I would rate her 9 on 10. Excellent job, Sherry Twist. Nice job. One thing when I was reading that struck me were the silly faces. There were so many of them. Smile, kiss, 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 ugh, rose, ugh, goggle face, silly face, rose, super rose. That's something that I hoped, because it's annoying when you read that and there's a page of that, like smile, rose, ugh, ugh, kiss, 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 smile, 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 smile. Are you gonna suck my penis when I'm there? Yeah! Smile, 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 smile. I try not to keep them because they're an integral part of the holy lornography and there's a part of the chat room. But at some point I did cut a few because it gets annoying. Like when you have 50, when you have a page of them. So I went quickly. So I went, for example, instead of saying smile, kiss, kiss, rose, I would say smile, rose, kiss, for example, or rosa kiss. A common repetition is rosa kiss, or kiss. I kiss kiss, for example. I kiss kiss smile. So I had some pre-formatted readings, and I would say that, but at some point I really grew tired of reading them. I had to make an effort because there's so many of them. It gets long. I didn't cut too much, and I kept the essential part. But at some point where there were like 5 lines of them, I skipped the middle part because if you have a conversation like smile, kiss, rose, smile, hugs, hug, kiss, 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 smile, hugs, rose, I would cut because it gets boring and it gets annoying and there's not really anything going on. It doesn't contribute. I would much prefer to have the text. Speaking of the text, there's a lot of I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. That also got on my nerve. I had to make an effort to read all of them, but there are so many of them. I love you, my precious baby girl. If I search through the lornography, love you, which is what Kayla says because kids talk like that, she says it 233 times. And when you have to voice all that, it gets annoying. And then love you by Lorne, he has 331 of them. I love you, my precious beautiful princess. That got annoying. An average of 10 times a chapter. I grew bored with reading that, but I still did it because it's important. I want to talk about one more point. When he said, be right back, I got to bring Bud to the bathroom. I used to think that Lauren brought Bud outside, on the grass to do his thing. But then I realized, what if he really brings Bud to the bathroom, like the real bathroom? Like if he holds his dog over the toilet and he has the dog crap in the toilet? Like that would be fucking hilarious. But no, he probably goes outside to, Bud can shit on the ground, I guess. I want to talk about my English. It should be rather obvious that during that month and a half of reading, I really improved my English. If you listen to the first few readings, the first few chapters, and at the end, like I believe that today my English is extremely strong. Like English is not my native language, and I did speak about it in the introduction, but there are very few people here that are purely English. I had one friend who was American, but he went back to the US, and he had a great English, and with him I progressed a lot. You can take some classes like with an American teacher. I did take classes with a British teacher. And when I was in school, the people teaching English were not even English speaker. And I would say that right now my English is hundreds of times better than my English teachers, that most of the English teacher I had, because I had a teacher, for example, for Lithuania, I don't know, and English was our third language. So when you take English classes with an American, you pay $50 an hour, and that's a lot of money. It adds up quickly. So I really enjoyed recording it. I think my English progressed a lot. Like the 3H sound, I spent countless nights working on my th sound, like three or think. And it's really hard, and I'm still not sure I got it right. Like, I listened like to the phonetics, like they say put your tongue out, like bite your tongue like this, you bite your tongue, and then you push hair like this, like three, or thorn. Like you have the I'm torn between two options, and a rose has many thorns. And it still gives me trouble. And it's even worse when the th is at the end, like strength. Do I have it? I don't even know if I have it. Like, especially when you have an s at the end. For example, like depth. Depth. I'm going into great depth here. This is fucked up. It's complicated because you don't have the TH sound in my language. But reading the Lornography, I got to practice it quite a bit. Like, what are the thoughts that you're honestly having right now? What are you honestly thinking about right now? Did you think about me today? And I think I'm pretty close to having it. So that was something cool. I want to talk about Durango Mango, but you know, Lorne ran away after stealing from them. Like, he paid for his truck by stealing from them. He stole $30,000 from them. $30,000 from them. So, and again, she says something in the chat room recently. She said now he's out of jail, he's working. He could like send off a few dollars. Like he could send off some money from his paycheck, but he doesn't because he did steal from them. He charged money for services and he botched the custom job and then he ran away. And it's actually quite a big story, and I would like to have the full story one day. I'm going to talk about Durango Mango in one episode, The Dark Side of Lorne. But for now, I would like to say that right now I have the world according to Lorne, but recently I started disliking the title. Like I liked the title less and less because it felt too I don't know, too strong, too pushy. And then, it doesn't really have anything to do with The World According to Garp, anyway, which was a novel by John Irving. And also, let's face it, The World According to Garp is fucking boring. Okay, it's not a great book. I know it has a lot of people that love it, but it's not the type of book I want to write, definitely. So I found out it has nothing to do with the book anymore. When it started, it had everything to do with it, but not anymore. Because it's a book about like feminism and sex obsessed. It's a pretty bad book. I'm sorry to say it. I know people love Job Irving, but I didn't like The World According to Garp. I think it was pretty bad, actually. That's my opinion. It's beautifully written. It's a beautiful book in terms of writing, but the storylines, it sucks. It's not so fun. So I decided to change the title, and I went through a lot of titles. I wanted to say, that's another fucking word to pronounce. I wanted to make at first like Romeo and Juliet, and to make Lorne and Kayla, but it's not obvious enough. I wanted to say I had another title. It was Lorne's Life, but it's kind of bad. And then I said, why do complicated when you can do simple? And I have the perfect title right here and there, and the title is Lorne. Lorne, that is a perfect title, Lorne. How many people do you know that are called Lorne? How many? Tell me. Honestly, not a whole lot. I've never met anyone in my life named Lorne. And the title, the name is beautiful. So I decided the book would be titled Lorne. And Shaman did an amazing cover. And that's going to be the cover of my book. Lorne. It's going to be an awesome book, and I'm going to list it on Amazon, and I'm going to give it for free. Like I'm not going to lie, and I'm going to give it for free. But if you want to donate for it, all the money is going to go to Durango Mango, and I want to send her a free copy of my book, like a real copy, like printed. I'll pay for it, for the printing, for the, to have it like made into a book. I think it's like $10 to have it, and I'm going to have it shipped to her as a small gift of me, and all the proceeds of the sale will go to her. Like all the money I made from the sale, I don't know how much. I'm gonna make probably a pay what you want model if Amazon let me, or maybe I'll do it on that book printing website and have people pay that. And you can donate to Betty Okay in memory of her husband Herrick, who died knowing that Lorne had sunk them in debt. It's a small gesture. It's a small act of charity that I feel proud to do. Because they seem like good folks, they seem like decent people, more than decent people. They seem like good people. Fuck you, Lorne, for what you done, you fucking con man. So that's a little bit of what I can do for them. And I work actually pretty hard on the book, and I like to believe it's a good book. I await your feedback eagerly. I mean it, like seriously. I hope you will read it. I'm going to give it for free. I know some people don't like reading, but I'll give it for free. I hope you will at least look at it and read a little bit, because it's not just a cliche boring book. It's not just like retelling the Lornography. That's boring. Like I'm not going to rewrite the Lornography, but from the point of view of Lorne. That would be boring. It's really a story. It's original material. And I don't want to talk too much about it for now, but it's really something that I worked a very long time on. My God, I'm taking long for this conclusion. A few more things I want to say. The Holy Lornography changed me. Like when I was reading it, I felt that I was changing inside. And perhaps, perhaps I was evolving. Because today I feel better, I feel different. And that's the magic of the Holy Lornography. I feel like a different person. I said earlier it saved my life. Well, Lorne Armstrong saved my life. Not meaning that I was going to die, but meaning that it made me into a newer and better person. Like today, I feel different than I did like a few months ago. And the Lornography helped me cope through some pretty hard periods of my life, illness and many things like familial problem, losing my girlfriend, losing my job, being broke. The Lornography brought me joy and peace. And more than that, when I read this, it made me realize so many things about the world we live in. Like, Lorne is not a unique specimen. Well, he is unique in the meaning that he is Lorne, but there are thousands of men like Lorne that are probably chatting with kids as we speak and trying to groom them. Like, it happens, sexual child abuse of minor happens. And I feel the Holy Lornography really opened my eyes to the world and how the worlds work and how pedophiles operate online. I feel accomplished. I feel accomplished like after reading so much. After doing a reading of the Lornography, I feel that I fulfilled my part of my mission. I feel so good. I finished recording it and I feel happy, but I feel proud. Like I did it. I did the entire book. I recorded it. And I'm like, wow, I feel special. Like that's my humble contribution to the Church of God. And now more people can discover God and accept God in their lives. And one more point I didn't notice. Just remember, like I couldn't read. I did say that the Lornography changed me, but it changed the way I think. I see life differently today. So let's say, for example, tomorrow I see a 15-year-old child screaming at me. Okay, like let's say I go to the grocery store, and it happened to me. I go to the grocery store, and there's a girl behind me, and she starts screaming at me for no reason. Like, move out of my way. Like, I'll see what happens. It wasn't like somebody behind me. Yeah, it was something behind me. I was at the Costco, and I said to the child, I said, you just have one item, and he say, you can pass in front of me. And the girl lashed out at me. I think she was a teenager. She was very young. But she was alone, and I don't know why. But, oh, yeah, I mean, I know she was 15. She was definitely a child, but she yelled at me. And she said, for no reason. I just said, you can pass in front of me. You don't have many items. She said, why can I pass in front of you? Blah, blah, blah. You're an idiot. You think I have to? You think you have to do that for me because I'm a child? Blah, blah, blah. She was crazy, okay? And at the point, it hurt me. Like, it made me feel like, wow, she's angry at me. I felt bad about it. I felt like hurt. Like, that somebody could scream at me and insult me. So of course I didn't let her pass, but I didn't say anything at the time. I just paid and I left, and it made me feel like wrong. It wasn't a Costco, sorry. It was a Metro. It was a grocery store. A grocery store. We have a grocery store called Metro here. That's why. So I was at the grocery store, and I just offered to let her pass, and she insulted me. And I was quite angry, but I didn't want to reply because I was shy. And it hurt me for a while. Like, I'm a sensible person, I guess, but that a young girl like that could insult me and called me an asshole, a piece of shit. It hurt me. It hurt my self-esteem. I didn't cry, but I feel like down for a couple of days. And then after I read the Lornography, a similar situation happened at a restaurant. And there was a young girl that I shouldn't like go about it, but I was in a poor neighborhood, and I offered to pay for a meal because she got her wallet out and she was going to pay, but she didn't have any money, so she got her credit card out. And she had an order for like 2 hot dogs, and the hot dogs were like 75 cents, So I said, I'm going to pay for them. I told the guy, I'm going to pay for them. And she was a young girl, very young, like 13, 14, like Kayla. And I told the guy, no, she had a fry too. She had 2 hot dogs, and they were like 69 cents, and she had a fry for like maybe $2. So something like $4. And I told the guy, put it on my bill. I just put it on me. And I thought I was doing a good action. And the girl lashed out at me and said, "You think I'm poor just because I'm poor and I cannot pay money? Fuck you." And I was wearing some nice clothes, but like a shirt and pants, like suit pants. And she insulted me and she yelled at me. She screamed at me. And I just looked at her. And I just like smiled. And that was after I discovered the Lornography. It changed me. I said the Lornography changed me. It changed me, so I just looked at her and I smiled. And she lashed out at me. And I said, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I hope your life will improve." Because after reading the Lornography, it made me realize that maybe that girl was sexually abused. Maybe she had a real life Lorn that did abuse her. And what right do I have to judge her for lashing out at me? Of course, it's not right to insult me, especially for wanting to pay for a meal. But you don't know what this young woman went through. Maybe she was sexually abused. Maybe her parents beat her ass on a daily basis. Maybe a ton of things. And she did say some nasty shit about me. Like, she called me a piece of shit. She says I was an arrogant loser. Not an arrogant, smug asshole. She said that she said some nasty stuff to me, like really mean. Like, she said "fuck you" to me and "mind your own fucking business. I don't need your fucking money, you fucking asshole." And she went on along, like for a minute she insulted me, and I just offered to pay for her. And I'm telling you, a year ago, before discovering the Lornography, I would have been hurt. But now I just look at her, and I heard her yell at me, and it didn't hurt me. I felt bad for her. I don't know if you understand what I mean, but it made me think, like, what did that poor little young lady lived to actually end up like that? What happened to her to actually, like, end up being like that? And I actually said, "Listen, young lady, I'm very sorry that you feel that way, and I have some time. If you want, we can have a seat and we can talk. I have some time. I'll take some time to listen to you." That's what I said. And I said, "I'll do my best to listen to you. I won't judge you. I'll do my best to help you." She was speechless. She stopped talking immediately. She started sobbing. And not sobbing easily, but she turned her head in shame, and I could see that she wasn't feeling well. And she had some money, I guess, at the back of her wallet somewhere. She didn't end up paying, and she left in a sprint outside. And I genuinely felt bad for her, and I told the guy, like, I hope she comes back. I hope things are gonna improve for her. And everybody was speechless. And the Lornography taught me that even though it's not easy to always do the right thing, you have to do it. Because if you don't, I believe that you always have to do good. And that's why the Lornography brought to me. Lauren, I love you so much. And today, I don't feel hurt about it. I don't feel like angry. Like, if it was past me, I wouldn't have said anything. The girl would have paid and she would have left in a fury. And I would have felt hurt for a couple of days. But today I feel like I'm hurt for that young lady. And if I see her again, and I'm actually going to go back, and I hope I see her again, and I hope I can find her and have a seat with her and talk and offer her some assistance. I would give her money, like if I had money, like a lot of money. Not maybe give money, but at least be there for her to talk and talk about her problems maybe. Because I feel that as human race, we have to help each other. And you might think, yeah, but she might be a con man. Like, if you give her money, she might take the money to buy drugs. Maybe that's what's going to happen. But when you do good, you cannot stop to think about that. You have to figure out what's the right thing to do, and you have to do it no matter the cost. So I hope you realize, like I say that, but I hope you realize just how much the Lornography changed me. And I did witness a few bad things when I was younger. Like when I was like 17 years old to 19 years old, I remember witnessing a few things I'm not proud of. Like, I witnessed, for example, a group of king bullying on a weaker kid, like in college, And I didn't do anything. Of course, I was a kid back then. But today, if that happens, I'm going to stop it. Or if I see an injustice, like if I see somebody being abused, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to act and stop it. And I might get lashed out. I'll give you an example. 4 years ago, I was like on vacation, and I witnessed a child abuse, and it still haunts me to this day. I witnessed a father abusing his child. yelling at him, screaming at him, pushing him to the ground, telling him that he wished his son was dead. So pretty severe abuse, and it hurt me, and I didn't do anything. I was pretty young at the time, but I didn't know what to do. I felt lost. Like, what can I do? Is it my business? Like, he didn't really commit a crime. Like, what do? I go and talk to him and say, I'll call the police. And then what's going to happen? The police are going to come and they're going to say, like, you called us for nothing. And I started being afraid. Like, if I call the police, they'll say, no, it's not abuse. Nah, nah, nah. And it still hurt me because the poor little boy, he was maybe 6 or 7, and he went under, how is it called in English? I have to find out the word. But in the playpen, where a slide, I guess, a slide. Yeah, he went under the slide to cry, and I could have gone to his child and comforted the child, but would have been accused of being like a child molester. But what if he calls the police and he says he went to talk to my child, blah blah blah? Or what if I confronted the father and the father calls the police on me? Or what if the father attacks me and kicks my ass? And what was I supposed to do? And I thought about it for a while. And at the time, I didn't do anything, and I regret because I wish I could have helped them. But the main reason I didn't do anything, the main reason is because I figured out if I go and talk to the father, even if I stop the abuse now, when the father gets back home, the abuse on the little kid is going to be worse, you know? When I'm not there, the abuse for the little kid is going to be worse. But that's a rationalization. Like, my thinking was, well, I might as well not do anything because even if I do manage to stop the abuse now, it's going to be worse when there's nobody watching, when I'm not there, you know? He's going to be getting revenge on the kid. Like, I felt humiliated that a stranger interrupted my abuse of my child, so I'm going to abuse my child twice as heavily when we get home. And it still disgusts me to that day because the father was threatening the child, like, wait until you get home, I'm going to do much worse. He said that to the kid. I should have done something. I rationalize it like it's none of my business, or the abuse is not severe enough. Like pushing a kid to the ground, it's not so bad. It is bad. It's fucking bad. I was young and I didn't do anything. Today, I would go to him. I wouldn't attack him. That's not the solution. Not in this case, at least. I would go to him and say, sir, let's be reasonable. We're two adults. You know, we can talk. Look at how you make him feel. Look at what you do to your son. It's your own son. And I know that even though you might have done something wrong, you still love him. And yelling at him and abusing him is not going to be anything positive. You have to learn to, if you do that now, what are you going to do when he takes drugs or when you have bad grades, you know? It's going to get worse, and the worse he'll get, the worse you'll abuse him. It's not a path that is going to be successful. That's what I would tell the father. And since discovering the Lornography, it changed how I view the world. And today, if I witness abuse, 100% sure I'm going to talk to it. Even though I'm a shy person, like I feel shy about confronting a stranger, especially about a sensitive subject like that. But we have to stick out for each other, okay? We have to stand out for each other. We have to be there for each other. We cannot just stay back and lay back and live our own little comfortable life. We have to be man and woman. If we see something unjust, we have to act. That's what the Lornography represents for me. That's what it opened my life for. Whew. Long speech, huh? This was recorded in one take. So I wanted to talk about a few more things, but I think I pretty much covered it. I wanted to talk about Lorne's lawsuit because the Lornography is not over yet. Lorne still has some lawsuit against NBC ongoing. And you know, he actually lost in the Kentucky Court of Appeal, but I guess he could try the Supreme Court of Kentucky. Or I guess he could try the Supreme Court of the United States. Oh man, that would be funny. If I find out that Lorne is going to the Supreme Court of the United States, the SCOTUS, and if I found that he wins, imagine that Lorne wins in Supreme Court. That would be the best day of my life. I would be rolling on the floor laughing, and Lorne would be out, you know, and he would be like, when you win the Supreme Court case, it's a pretty big deal. You go on radio and TV, and Lorne would go on radio and TV and say, all those years I fought the unfair NBC. Today I finally won. All those years of fighting the injustice. Now I can finally start to fix my life. And I'm going to start by using the money to make my first karaoke album, country music album. And it would be like Lorne defended himself pro se, meaning by himself. But Lorne would become like the guy who beat NBC, a multi-billion company, and Lorne would have beaten them. If Lorne wins in Supreme Court, I would die of shock. Like, I think it's better that he wouldn't win because I would get a heart attack. Like, No fucking way. He managed to, him and his fucking stupid argument, he managed to win in the Supreme Court. That would be a miracle. It's more than a miracle. It's like, it would be the miracle of all miracles. But even if it doesn't go to the Supreme Court, he still has a lawsuit ongoing against NBC. And it should be handled soon. And I'm going to talk about that in my legal series. Like, I have a lot of things coming in the Lornography. I have my Dark Side of Lorn. I have tons of videos. I have A Night with Nathaniel. I have my legal mastermind series. I have some small videos. Like, I'm trying to find out the house he grew in, and I almost found it. I'm trying to find a lot of things actually, and of course I have my book. It's coming very soon, and I think you're gonna love it. So it's the end of the Lornography, but it's the end of the reading of the Holy Lornography, sorry, but it's not the end of things. And a little teaser, I'm going to do a recording of Lorn, the book. Yes, in exclusivity, I present that to you. I'm going to do a reading of every chapter, and it's going to be on YouTube for everyone to listen to for free. Or if you prefer to download it, it will be available for free, I promise. But if you could spare a few dollars to buy it off Amazon, again, the money will go to Durango Mango. More on that later. But if you can spend like $5, $2 on Amazon to buy it, a real version, that would be appreciated. It's not necessary. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad 1 second about downloading for free. Just the fact that people are reading my work, it's amazing to me. But if you want to make a small contribution to Durango Mango, and I might even do it with not a Kickstarter because they take insane fees, but maybe directly donate. Like, maybe you could just send the money by the mail. I know they don't like it. Like, they don't like it when you do that. But if you wrap like $10 or $20 between some sheet of paper and just mail it to Durango Mango and you write, this is a little bit, but it's for what Lorn did to you. Again, the book's going to be free. So if you don't want to pay for it, don't feel bad about downloading it. More on that later. But if you can send a little, or even if you don't have money, because right now I'm really broke, but I'm still going to send Durango Mango a bit of money. If you don't have money, just send her a postcard saying that, you know what Lorn did to her and you appreciate it. That would be huge, guys. Or if you really don't have any money, and I've been there before. I've been so broke that I had my electricity cut, okay? So if you're living a life where you basically, you have to fight to get electricity, no worries, download it for free. And don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about not donating. I've been there. We've all been through some situation. But if you're like me, when I had a lot of money and I went out to bars and I paid like $15 for a cocktail, just skip one cocktail and send $10 to Durango Mango. And feel very happy about it, So thank you for listening. I want to finish this by saying, Lorn, I know you're listening. I know you're going to listen to this. I fucking love you, dude. Like a bro love. And I wish I could marry you. Lorn, you are my inspiration. You saved my life, and I love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my voicing of the Lornography. I really liked it. I read every comment. Thank you for them. I love you all. And, this is the end. This is the official reading of my Lornography. Oh, and by the way, feel free to do your own recording. That would be awesome. If somebody wants to record the Lornography, I know it's the same text, but it would still be awesome, like a different version of the Bible. If you want to make a recording of it for whatever reasons that are proper to you, go ahead. That would be awesome. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. And Lorn, you are my inspiration. And long live the one true begotten Son of God, Lorn Armstrong.